Whether you haul it, process it, or dispose of it, fog waste is a costly headache. Here, an operator offloads grease trap waste consisting of fog. The fog goes through screening and decanting, ultimately ending up in the Greasezilla reactor system. The standard system includes dual 10,000-gallon, double-wall insulated steel tanks. Any commercial building with a concrete slab can handle the weight. Gravity separates the water from the grease in decant tanks. The water is then released into a permitted municipal sewer drain. The remaining grease and sludge is pumped into a Greasezilla tank. A boiler heats the tank to a temperature up to 160 degrees. In about 24 hours, the contents separate into 4 layers: food particle debris, pasteurized water, batter, and rich brown grease. Brown grease is pumped to holding tanks while the remaining water content, which is pasteurized and nearly free of all suspended solids, may be discharged into the treatment facility. Placed upstream of wastewater treatment plants, Greasezilla is the most cost-efficient and ecologically responsible brown grease separator available worldwide. Greasezilla eases the financial sting of ever-increasing disposal fees, labor costs, and transportation expenses. In addition, it generates another revenue stream by collecting and processing marketable brown grease that can be sold for profit.
Now, Bill and Brian, welcome to Digest Connect, and now over to you.
Thank you very much, Jim. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending, and I'm here with my colleague Bill Hambley today, and take a few minutes of your time and explain a little bit about what we're doing at Greasezilla. So we are a U.S. corporation. We are now serving the global market. We're based in West Virginia. We have been in business for 5 years. Our technology is fully commercialized, truly scalable, and we run off of our own fuel. This is some of the important intellectual property aspects of our firm. We are rapidly growing, and we are firmly in the water infrastructure space, and we get the fog out of water without any chemicals or dry bedding. We're in a highly regulated industry, and it's a global market that we are serving. Hopefully you have heard of us. We certainly do get some excellent profile from Biofuels Digest. We're very appreciative to them for that. But we are now servicing a number of industries from chemical to water to pumping. This again is a highly regulated market, and we're fortunate to be dealing in a number of verticals. With the landfill mitigation initiatives across the world, we've never been busier. Fortunately, we've been in business for a number of years. We have commercialized sites, so we're able to bring customers to our sites to see firsthand how Greasezilla works. And Bill is going to walk you through some of the intricacies of our system.
Thanks, Brian. Good morning, everyone. What do? Basically, we separate organics. We separate fat, oil, and grease from water, and we do it very well. That was the impetus for our product when it was developed by our founder, and we do it extremely well, and we do it around the world. We take grease trap waste from any commercial kitchen. We provide great returns and provide best practices, both financially and environmentally. And we do it without the need for any subsidies, although some of those are definitely available depending on where you're at in the world. We're a one-of-a-kind system, and we can process up to 40,000 gallons of raw grease trap waste a day, and then we can scale up from there. Our patents allow us to run off of our own fuel, the fuel that we actually process during the separation process. We use about 5% of it to burn ourselves, and after we're done with the separation process, the effluent water is pasteurized, it's nearly free of all suspended solids, and it's safely discharged to local wastewater treatment facilities. We provide extremely high EBITDA in a very short time of return on your investment, and that's really at a system running only at 50% capacity, definitely less than 2 years. Our operating costs are very low, less than 2 cents a gallon, and we provide as an offtake advanced biofuel of brown grease sold on the commodity markets worldwide through the Jacobson Exchange. We've coined it Greasezilla fuel. It's actually a drop-in substitute for bunker fuel number 6, but we burn much, much cleaner and actually can help maritime fuel producers meet IMO 2020 standards. We sell the systems worldwide, outright sale, lease, finance. There's a profit sharing program we have. We will joint venture with communities, and we have a build, own, operate system as well. So we're very excited about our product and looking forward to increasing that penetration worldwide. Brian?
Excellent. For those of you that have ever been in the waste to fuel sector, you know, CapEx, IRR, return on investment, getting your hands on the feedstock, being able to sell the offtake in a practical fashion, permitting, emissions, these are all the intricacies, the devil in the detail in the industry. When Greasezilla was formed, it was formed by a waste processor who was trying to simplify the process. So our systems sell for less than $1 million, and as Bill said, with a 2-year return on investment. When we started the business, we were focused more on the wastewater treatment infrastructure, dealing with cities and municipalities and state governments, and the hauling industry. But as we all know, customers can take you down some interesting roads. So today we're proud to serve 5 different industry verticals. We are in the wastewater treatment facility. We will show you some of those in a moment. We deal extensively with commercial liquid waste processors and fog haulers all around the country. But our product is ending up in the biodiesel sector, which we'll talk about a little bit further. The food processing sector, even during COVID, we may not be going to restaurants the same way we used to frequent them, but we are certainly buying foods from the grocery stores at increasing rates, and our systems are now sitting at food processing locations, upstream of anaerobic digester facilities, upstream of biodiesel facilities. So our customers are helping us to grow in areas that we never even conceived of in the early days. Bill, could you walk everybody through the what goes on inside the reactor?
Yeah, imagine, if you will, trucks that are going to restaurants and pumping grease traps, 1,000 or 1,500 gallon grease traps, pumping them into the truck, going from 2 or 3 restaurants, and then going to a fog receiving station, at which time they're going to discharge that truck through some type of a grate or screen that's going to get the occasional fork, knife, napkin, or brick, and keep that out of the system. And then we recommend that that liquid waste goes into decanting. Grease worldwide is suspended in the solution about 5% concentration, so you've got a lot of water in this liquid, and the more that can be decanted off to begin with is going to make the process that much more efficient. After decanting, this is a cutaway view of a 10,000 gallon tank, a reactor tank that we heat in our proprietary process for 24 to 30 hours. And after that heating process, the system separates into the rich brown grease layer, then a batter layer. And if you will imagine a fried chicken restaurant or Mexican restaurant, or Chinese restaurant, a lot of batter goes into frying. So think of your pancake batter, about 500 gallons of that as a layer, and then about 8,000, 8,500 gallons of pasteurized water. We harvest the brown grease off. We fuel ourselves with about 5% of that brown grease. The rest of the 95% of that is available to be sold on the commodities exchange, or can be used in our facilities for other heat processes. We harvest the batter and send it to anaerobic digesters because it is a superfood for anaerobic digesters, very high in BOD and COD content. And then the pasteurized water is discharged to a wastewater treatment plant, and they can easily handle that. Okay. We are in wastewater treatment plants in various locations around the country and the world. This is Wareham, Massachusetts, which is on the Cape, south of Boston, a very, very highly environmentally sensitive area. This system's been up and running about 5 years now, actually a little bit more than 5 years, at about 50% capacity. And one of the neat things that's happening with this site is The wastewater treatment plant is generating over $500,000 a year in additional revenue due to tipping fees and the brown grease sales that they're able to use for whatever purposes they need. Brian?
So as Bill said, we are active in the wastewater treatment sector. Here is a facility that is recognized globally. This is Hampton Roads, a sanitation district in Virginia, near Virginia Beach. This authority happens to run some 20 different facilities. So they do push the envelope. They are testing technologies, and the world is watching. Greasezilla is very proud to be part of this prestigious environment. And this site, which will open in 2021, was conceived by Hampton Roads Sewer District, was engineered by Jacobs Engineering. So this type of presence is helping us globally. One of the interesting aspects of this site, and I'm sure a lot of the people on this phone would recognize this as quite an unusual achievement, we were sole sourced. So dealing with a state and dealing with a water authority, the commission sole source Greasezilla technology, primarily for three reasons. Number one, we were the only system that truly did run off of a small percentage of the fuel that it harvested. Secondly, we were the only company that really truly mitigated landfill policies, which the state was extremely focused on. And we were the only organization that would actually provide an aftermarket for the brown grease. So by burning our own fuel, landfill mitigation, selling the brown grease on behalf of the state, and feeding their digester the solids, we were deemed to be a unique organization, a unique technology. This is a $9 million facility. We are the heart of that facility, and I'll show you folks just a little bit of how that works. So in a nutshell, going back to one of the earlier screens, in phase one, various vehicles are coming to the facility and they're offloading and going through some simple screening processes. In phase two, we are settling. So that material that comes off those vehicles that is agitated is going into a decant arena, a decant farm, which is preheated, by the way, and it is allowed to settle for 6 to 8 hours. Once it is settled, the clear water is moved directly to the headworks of the plant. The gray water material loaded with fog, fat oils, and grease is moved into phase three, which is the Greasezilla Processing Center. It sits in that center for 18 to 24 hours. After phase three is completed, we discharge to the plant headworks, we discharge to the anaerobic digester, we discharge to the storage tanks for the advanced biofuel, and we discharge back to our systems to actually manage the heating process for the Greasezilla facility. Again, our customers taught us something. Once we're harvesting biofuel from our own system, once we're using that biofuel to process and heat our Greasezilla reactors, this client was crafty enough to realize a second burner would allow it to heat the facility and heat the decant tank. So we are extremely proud of the relationship at Hampton Roads. I'm sure many of you have heard of them, Jacobs Engineering, and the fact that we were sole sourced.
Well, everybody likes to show off their hardware, I think, and so we're going to do a little bit of that. These are pictures of an installation, during an installation, not final, but you can see a Greasezilla 10,000 gallon reactor tank on the left, and then our control skid, control boiler, and pump skid on the right. Obviously, industrial equipment, not much to look at, but it is kind of fun. Next.
Very well. So those of you that are in the renewable, the alternative energy sector, we know there's two ways to tackle these problems. One way is to bring the problem to the equipment. So bring the fog to the system. But today, a more practical way is to bring the solution to the problem. So Greasezilla has created a distributed technology, a distributed format, where it is not only required for the material, the fat oil and grease, to be trucked into our facilities, but our facilities can now be located at food processing centers, anaerobic digester centers, lagoons. Shopping centers are going through quite a transformation with COVID and e-commerce, and a lot of them are becoming food complexes, but they were never designed to harness that much grease. So now our systems sit at food processing centers and shopping centers worldwide. These systems can be shipped all over the world. One of the strongest markets for us now happens to be the Middle East, interestingly enough. And these systems can sit at remote locations with no grid, no power, no shelter. So Greasezilla can now sit at a central location, but Greasezilla can also be moved in a modular fashion to remote locations, auxiliary locations, to where the problem is. And what we're finding in the food sector are these food plants are producing so much grease, it is slowing down their production, it is causing fire hazards. They're spending, some of our clients, up with $1 million a year just to move the fog out of their DAFs to landfills, whereas now we're able to put these systems at the food processors, avoid the DAFs, avoid the waste, avoid the landfills, and provide a return back to the food processing operations. So you'll see Greasezilla at government centers, you'll see Greasezilla fixed next to production facilities.
Our proprietary IP includes the hydronic separation system that we use in the process. We have fully automated heat transfer, and we heat by using the unblended biofuel that we've actually harvested from our own process, as we've shown in that video and prior slides. The brown grease that we separate has got a very, very low moisture content of less than 1%. We also have very low sulfur content. And as we said before, we're sold as a commodity on the worldwide exchange. There are tax credits depending on where people live on this good earth. And it just depending where you're at, how you can take advantage of those. Worldwide, as Brian said, we are involved with clients in Thailand with malls that have been turned into retail malls that have been turned into food courts. We're involved with wastewater treatment plants in the United Arab Emirates and the Middle East. We have client interest from all over Europe, Australia, Africa, and Central and South America. Bottom line, grease is an issue worldwide. It's amazing how consistent the issue is, no matter what culture we're dealing with, and the amount of grease that's created per capita. And we do a great job recovering energy from a waste stream, as well as cleaning up the water.
And with the help of very influential publications such as Biofuels Digest, the word is out. In the last 3 months alone, our organization has been inundated from the biodiesel sector. So the Greasezilla system sitting upstream of the biodiesel sector is reducing the return on investment of the biodiesel processing facilities by a factor of almost half. By putting Greasezilla systems upstream of biodiesel facilities, the biodiesel operations are able to garner the tipping fees, which are quite appreciative, and garner the fuel coming into their facilities at no charge. So we've created a hub and spoke system in given urban areas. Our system is able to operate in urban areas. It's a closed system. The reactors are closed. We do not have the typical challenges of waste processing when it comes to odor and other derivatives. But a day does not go by now where the biofuel industry is not coming to us, and the biodiesel industry is retooling to take brown grease in as a feedstock commodity. The feedstock being the highest cost issue for biodiesel producers. By putting Greasezilla hub and spoke in a given area, they are able to collect those tipping fees and have their feedstock generated on site. This has been exceptionally important development for the company, as we are now part of the roundest fuel economy, which is collect the waste in a locality, process the waste in a locality, and utilize the byproduct in a locality. So Greasezilla is proud to be one of the roundest fuels and proud to be heavily involved in the biodiesel sector. And our customers are teaching us every day how to deal with this high FFA material. This has been a very big development and a new important sector of our business. And with that, folks, we want to thank you for your time. We hope you've enjoyed it. On the document that will be sent to you, you will have links to our installation sites, our press engine systems, our FAQs. And as Bill alluded to earlier, Greasezilla has committed to invest tens of millions of dollars in urban centers to place our systems in collaboration and partnership with operators. So we are opening a system in Austin, El Paso, throughout Florida, where Greasezilla is in joint ventures with operators to bring this important technology to urban centers. The capital has been allocated, and we are in the process of selecting sites across the country and across the world. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.